Hello, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another video. If you are new to this channel, my name is Frank Tu, and I'm a college professor teaching sociology, history, and philosophy. I'm also an award-winning landscape photographer. Over the long history of Chinese culture, Daoism and Confucianism played most prominent roles for at least two-thirds of its history, profoundly influencing Chinese culture and thought. Their influence can be felt in China and beyond even nowadays. The two philosophical traditions have a lot in common, but there are significant differences in their focus and approach to life and society. By the way, those of you who are not familiar with Confucianism or Daoism may want to check out my videos about them, in which I discussed their most important ideas and principles in quite detail. Today's video, however, is for those who need a deep understanding of their respective ideas and those who want to dig deeper in Chinese culture in general. But please keep in mind that this video is not my last video about Chinese philosophies. In fact, more videos in this field are on the way. So, please subscribe if you are interested. But first, I'd like to point out that while most people agree that Confucianism is not a religion, there have been debates whether Daoism is a religion. It is true that there are some spiritual practices which are performed in Taoist temples. It is also true that some aspects of the Tao seem mystical. However, as far as I am concerned, Taoism is not a religion, and I hold this view for several simple reasons. First, under Taoism, there is no such thing as a supreme being who created everything, who is ever present, and who is all-powerful. Lao Tzu, who was the founder of Taoism, is never worshipped as such a supreme being. Secondly, under Taoism, there is no strict religious dogma. Taoism lacks a single universally accepted doctrine or set of beliefs. And finally, Taoists don't believe in afterlife in the way as other typical religious believers do. So, for those reasons, I have always held the view that Taoism is not a religion. Taoism is based on the teachings of Lao Tzu, who is credited with writing the foundational text of Taoist philosophy, the Tao Te Ching, in the 6th century BCE. At the core of Taoism is the concept of the Tao, which can be translated as the way or the path. The Tao is considered the ultimate reality that underlies all existence. To put it another way, it is the source from which everything emerges in a spontaneous, harmonious, and balanced way. Taoists emphasize the importance of living in accordance with the natural order of the universe, following the principles of Wu Wei or non-action to achieve inner peace and harmony. In a word, Taoism is about how individuals can live in harmony with nature. On the other hand, Confucianism is founded on the teachings of Confucius, a Chinese philosopher and educator who lived in the 6th century BCE, roughly at the same time as Lao Tzu. Confucianism is centered around the principles of ethics, morality, and social order. Confucius emphasized the importance of filial piety, righteousness, and morality in interpersonal relationships, advocating for the cultivation of virtue through education, self-cultivation, and adherence to traditional rituals and ceremonies. In a word, Confucianism is about how individuals can live with each other in harmony in society. Confucianism and Daoism have many shared elements. Both emerged during a similar period in response to social and political turmoil of the time, and both have significantly impacted Chinese culture and society. They both stress the importance of cultivating one's character and living a virtuous life. Both focus on life in the present. Neither Confucianism nor Daoism accepts the idea of a significant afterlife. And finally, both value individual growth and ethical development, although they have different approaches. And that brings us to their major differences, which I will break down into a few categories. One of the key distinctions between Daoism and Confucianism lies in their differing views of human nature. Daoism sees human nature as an integral part of the natural world, inherently pure and neutral. Every individual has the potential to live in harmony with the Tao if they cut off their attachments to material desires. Daoists believe that by aligning yourself with the natural flow of the universe, you can achieve spiritual enlightenment and unity with the Tao. In contrast, Confucianism holds a more optimistic view of human nature, seeing human beings as fundamentally good and capable of cultivating virtue through education and self-improvement. Confucius believed that by following the principles of propriety, righteousness, and benevolence, people could become virtuous and contribute to the well-being of society as a whole. Another fundamental difference between Daoism and Confucianism is their approach to ethics and moral conduct. Daoism emphasizes the importance of spontaneity, simplicity, and naturalness in ethical decision-making. Daoists advocate for no prescriptive and intuitive approach to morality, encouraging individuals to act in accordance with their inner nature and the principles of the Tao. In contrast, Confucianism places a strong emphasis on social hierarchy, duty, and propriety in ethical behavior. It is important to follow established rituals and codes of conduct to uphold social order and maintain harmony within the community. Confucian values such as loyalty, filial piety, and respect for authority shape the ethical norms of society and guide individuals in their interactions with each other. Under Confucianism, it is believed that morals can be forced on an individual. Through training and teaching, good morals are maintained within individual actions and even within the larger society. In contrast, Daoism maintains that there is no universal practice for ethics. All actions should have an intrinsic motivation within the individual. The individual develops morals instantaneously as he or she goes about all activities in life. Confucianism describes how people should relate to one another. For example, the relationship between a master and his followers is clearly defined. In addition, the manner in which values are passed from one generation to another is also defined for the sake of maintaining social order. On the other hand, Daoism encourages focus on individual development. It denounces any acquisitive moves made by the state or an individual. According to Daoism, every individual must understand oneself. Thus, the virtues of tradition and the norms that are passed from one generation to another by ethical systems such as Confucianism are disruptive. Under Confucianism, maintenance of social order comes first and foremost. Order had to be obtained by all means necessary, including use of force. Thus, everyone must behave in a certain ethical way or be compelled to do so by the system. Confucianism is a hierarchical philosophy which clearly defines rules and mutual obligations. For example, the job of a ruler is to protect its subjects, whereas the subjects should obey the ruler. Everyone is expected to conduct themselves properly through humility and obedience. Furthermore, people are expected to educate themselves and maintain order in the society. On the other hand, Daoism encourages use of minimum effort to achieve social order. Instead of trying to find a solution to the apparent problem that disrupts social order, Daoism encourages people to investigate the cause of the problem and remove it. Thus, results are obtained through minimum effort. However, Daoism does not support any form of hierarchical order in the society. It opposes any form of government, control, or coercion. According to Daoism, the individual is supreme. Social order is never a central point under Daoism. In fact, individuals are encouraged to disregard artificial societal rules. Both Daoism and Confucianism have played significant roles in shaping Chinese culture, politics, and society throughout history. But their difference is felt in different respects. Daoism has influenced Chinese art, literature, medicine, and martial arts, emphasizing themes of spontaneity, nature, and harmony with the universe. Daoist practices such as Qigong, Taiji, and acupuncture continue to be popular in contemporary China and are valued for their holistic approach to health and well-being. Confucianism, on the other hand, has had a profound impact on the development of Chinese ethical and moral values, shaping the principles of governance, education, and social order in traditional Chinese society. Confucian values such as respect for elders, emphasis on education, and adherence to social rituals have been deeply ingrained in Chinese culture and have influenced the conduct of individuals in family, community, and political contexts. In conclusion, Daoism and Confucianism represent two distinct philosophical traditions that have shaped the cultural landscape of China and beyond. While Daoism emphasizes spontaneity, harmony, and non-action in accordance with the Tao, Confucianism focuses on ethics, morality, and social order through education and virtue cultivation. In traditional Chinese thought, Daoism and Confucianism were often seen as complementary, addressing different aspects of life. Confucianism provided a framework for social harmony and proper conduct within society, while Daoism focused on individual harmony with nature and the cosmos. Well, I think that is all that I wanted to talk about in today's video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.